Good day, viewers. Welcome to Central Focus. I am Suleiman Haruna Osikoi. Today we're discussing government impunity. Joining me to discuss this critical topic is an eminent personality, Dr. Suleiman Mohammed, a political and public affairs analyst, a social commentator. Doctor, you are welcome.
Thank you, Haruna Osikoi, for having me in the studio. Good day, viewers.
Before discussion proper, in the last 18 months, how many serving public officials accused of misappropriating billions, how many are arrested or tried or jailed? Almost none. Yet, how many Nigerian women, especially the market women, are in prisons for hawking without permit? Thousands. If I am to say this is an impunity, I'll go further to say two laws for two sets of Nigerians. You can follow this conversation, be part of it. We can't do it alone, but together we believe we can. Let me go to our guests. Doctor, in one sentence, our viewers can understand what is government impunity.
Thank you once again, Suleiman, for having me in the studio. Yes, government impunity is simply the flagrant disobedience to the rule of law by the government official who ought to have been the respecter of the law. When the government official disobeys the law, automatically it amounts to impunity. And if I may quote the words of John Acton, he says, and I quote, "Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely." And that is where the impunity comes in. Because when you use your office to do the wrong thing and believe that nobody can do you anything, and you go scot-free, automatically that is an act of impunity.
That is serious.
Yes.
Thank you, Doctor. That will take me further to this question. Who suffers first when government acts without consequences?
Thank you very much. The society suffers. When I mean the society, the market women, the poor, the youth, the artisans, name them, they suffer the act of impunity by the government. Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended, states clearly that impunity covers the office, political office holder, particularly the executive office holders. At least covers them from distraction so that they can concentrate and do their job effectively and efficiently. But the unfortunate thing is that majority of them these days, as you rightly said, that from the last 18 months, but if I may go further, I will even tell you since 1999 that we come into this Fourth Republic to date, hide under this Section 308 that provided immunity for them to do the wrong thing, not for them to do the right thing, so that to stop them from the act of distraction to continue doing their official engagement effectively. You cannot tell me that because you are a governor, you are the president, maybe you are a local government chairman, these are the executive arms of government, you understand, who are the executive office holders. You are committing act of fraud, misappropriation of funds, belongs to the society. You are committing murder, you are committing heinous crimes, and you are hiding under impunity simply because impunity tell you that no, these certain office holders cannot be tried when they are in the office. That is purely out of impunity. And that is why I like you know, late former president Umar Musa Yar'Adua of blessed memory, he said categorically that if he has his way, which he has even started before his demise at that time, that the so-called impunity should be,
that is
completely
immunity.
immunity
Yep.
should be completely expunged from the constitution, because it is no longer serving the purpose in which that section was included in the constitution. So the act of impunity, you understand, is now the executive office holders are hiding under it to commit crime. So the people that suffers it are those who are helpless in the community, who are helpless in the society. Okay, the people who are hawking pure water, who are hawking orange and the rest of them in the on the streets, you see that there are these people they call a task force. They went after them, they arrested them, they just dumped them in prison, simply because this certain category of people don't have somebody that will speak for them. Some of them can even be there months while their small goods they are selling to cater for themselves and their family being destroyed, whereas the main criminals who are committing this offence, who are committing heinous crimes, are in the office enjoying AC each time they commit this offence. They misappropriated billions of naira and dollars. They misappropriated trillions of naira, but nothing happens. You be celebrated, the newspapers and the electronic medias will celebrate their arrest, and the thing will just end there, you understand, and nothing happens again. I can tell you that almost all the former governors that left office till date, you understand, are having one case of corruption or the other, case of murder or the other. But have they been jailed? They are walking freely on the street. That is impunity. And we cannot, there is no society that can develop this kind of issue. So because we are definitely operating two laws. There is one law for the high, while there is another law for the low. Automatically we have the untouchable in society, which is completely wrong. If you want to get it right, the law that applies to the orange seller should apply to the government, should apply to the president.
But sir, thank you very much for that your response. But however, let's look at this. It's when you look at this the clause of this or section of 308, it only excluded the president, the vice president, the governor, and the deputy governor exclusive. But however, you look at the other political holder or public office holders, still committing lot of criminal issues that were not being taken care by the law of the land. What do you think are the cause?
Thank you very much. You see, we have three arms of government. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, and we have the legislature. So out of these three arms of government, you see, the one that holds the remaining two together are the executive, because everything comes from the executive before it gets to the legislature and the judiciary. I discussed with somebody. I said, yes, we have had cases where former senators, former judges, you understand, even serving ones are being arrested, tried, maybe when it comes to prosecution, that is where the case ends. But these executive office holders, they are the one that sits, you understand, on the watch of the country, you understand. So the policies come from there before the implementation before the legislature and before the enforcement of the judiciary, before final implementation. But they sit on this, you understand, watch, and whatever they decide is what goes. So this set of people are the main people committing this crime. So we have seen where a serving judge has been arrested. That's from the judicial aspect of it. We have seen where a serving senator been taken to court. We have seen I think in the case of last ninth Senate, where a serving Senate president was being put to undock, you understand, the code of conduct rule, you understand, because according to the allegation against him at that time was that he did not declare his asset, you understand. He was taken to court while he was still sitting at the Senate president. But can you do that to the governor? Can you do that to the president? So we have seen it. But at the end of the day, whether that's the president go to claim or not, you understand? That is exactly. So, but we have seen that yes, they can be arrested, they can be taken to court, and they can be tried. You understand? But you cannot, Section 308, which is the immunity, cannot allow you to do such to either the governor or the president or their advisors.
Yes, if the society being the privilege given to that offices or officials, what makes it so difficult for other public officials to be prosecuted or either jailed? Are there any conspiracy between these officials?
Thank you very much. Very critical question and very issue that all Nigerians should try to look at it and let us see how we can get it done and discuss it very, very critically. As I said, the problem is that you cannot run away from the fact that there is conspiracy. There is conspiracy. The conspiracy theory is here. There was a time we were discussing about the constituency project. How much, the one we call SIP, special intervention projects. The money that were appropriated, you understand, to some of the senators, the House of Rep members, were not utilized, you understand, the way it's supposed to be utilized. But who are the people making laws? Who are the people, you understand, telling you that, oh, we want to scrutinize, we want to do this? There were a lot of cases.
Sorry for my interjection, sir, so that to save our time, it will take me to this question. Is the National Assembly doing oversight?
Honestly, they are
they part of the problem?
They are doing oversight, but it is not enough. Yes, they are part of the problem. They are part of the problem. I'm sure you have heard about the issue of budget padding. The senators or the members who raise, alarm over this issue, sometimes they will be victimized, they will be punished by their members. I can give you names here. You understand? Even the last Senate and even the last National Assembly and this present one. So they saw it that no, what is happening now is not good. Now this is clearly the case of budget party. They raised alarm, but they were suspended. Sometimes said their rules provided that none of their members should be suspended more than 2 weeks. But sometimes they suspend some of their members 6 months for something they knew clearly that yes, they committed that offense. You understand? So their oversight is just within themselves. Have you ever seen any member of the National Assembly that can no, this our member must be punished because he involved in corruption, because he committed crime, because of impunity? No. Why did he raise the alarm? Why did he go to the public to watch our dirty lenience? You understand? So these are the issues. Yeah. So there are a lot of, in fact, the problem is complicated, it's multifaceted, you understand, which if actually want to solve it holistically, we have a case where one of these ministers in this very present regime came out publicly to tell the Nigerians that yes, because there are some local contractors who protested that the job they executed, they were not being paid for. Well, this job has been verified. They discovered that yes, the project were executed. They were executed very well, not that they were executed purely. But for them to be paid, you understand, becomes a problem. The minister came to tell them that go and die, we will not pay you understand? And he said it in front of the camera, the whole Nigerians. Till today, that minister is still, he's even committing more, atrocities. He's making more unguided utterances. Such minister, she executed a project, they call it bus terminal. The bridge, you understand, that blew, I think about 2 weeks ago, destroyed the whole of that. Something he did with 50 billion naira of the taxpayers' money. Have you heard the president call him to
account? But that is a natural disaster.
A natural disaster. Meaning that all these buildings would have been collapsed.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you so much. Just like I said, because of our time.
Yes.
Your final words.
Thank you.
To those in the government who thinks that they are above the law.
My final words to them that try to do the right thing. Try to do the right, because you cannot remain there forever. Power is transcendent. You are there today. Tomorrow is another person. But the legacy you leave behind is what speaks volume for you, either good or bad, you understand? If you have the opportunity to be there, write your name in gold. Because of the generation that will be coming. All the previous leaders who did well that we are talking about today I think when their family hear about it, it gives them joy, even if they don't have money. We talk about late Murtala Ramat Mohammed, you understand? Though he was a military head of state, but he left just within how many months he spent in power. He left an indelible, print that nobody, you understand, can erase till today. One of my friends told me that one day there was this big board, you understand, where they draw him, his picture was in, he portrait is in 20 naira. So a young man was passing, he saw that there was sand, you understand, that covered that. He picked it and washed that place away. That no, we cannot allow this thing to happen to this one of our best leaders we have in our time in this country. So this is what we are talking about. It's not all about money. The present generation of leaders put all their minds in money. Before I came to the studio, I was discussing with one of my brothers, one of my friends, and he's a political analyst too. He was telling that the people that are there today, they were not there yesterday, and they criticize those who are there now, who were there before. But today they are there, the situation is still worse. I say yes, we have to continue criticizing, we have to continue saying it, because right now, if you ask me, have we started getting it right? Yes, because like look at what happened to the INEC, you understand, recently. INEC came up to tell you that we should go back and be doing the voters revalidation. This is an exercise that was vigorously, you understand, done when we were able, you understand, to register. But today, somebody will come to tell you we should go and do a revalidation. How? But when Nigeria stood their ground, we thank God that today that exercise has been done. So we will continue talking, we will continue mounting pressure on them. And by the time we are doing that, they will listen to us, because we want them. But even if our vote is broken, they know that without the vote, this ballot that we are talking about, they cannot be there. You can only rig election where you are popular. This is democracy. It's a game of number. And if a sizable number of people are not with you, you are a failure.
Thank you very much. That is, to some extent, the government are beginning to listen. But
Yes.
however, the society should keep on pushing until we get a deserved society,
Very well.
which every one of us can be proud of.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I believe in the other subsequent edition, you grant us your door open so that you can be part of us.
Always.
Doctor, thank you so much.
You're welcome,
Thank you.
Suleiman. Thank you for having me.
Viewers at home, thank you so much. Like we said, you can be part of this conversation using all our social media handle. We can't continue like this. Nobody else can do it for us, but we can actually change the system, change the narrative. The orientation can be changed if we all partake in making sure the society change for better. Until next time again, when I shall call your way again with another interesting topic. Thank you so much. Bye.